And we do welcome you to the C&C Auto Show. I'm Aaron Clements here with co-host Jim Pate. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning. Strapped in.
Yes, we are ready for a beautiful day, and we are ready to talk about cars. We have a great show planned today.
Yep. We got anything you want to talk about, too, so don't delay, don't hesitate. Punch in that phone number.
Absolutely. Tell everybody to give us a call because we are here to answer your automotive questions, and we also want to give some tips on how to make your car safer, more dependable, and to make it last longer for less money. But we also would love to answer your automotive questions that you have. So any questions that you have, if your car is making a little shake, a rattle, a roll, or any one of those things, you give us a call. A lot of times during the week, if you have a regular shop that you go to, and the service advisors sometimes are very busy. They want to give you as much information as they can, but sometimes it's a little tricky on being able to tell you everything that they want to be able to talk about. So now is your chance to get a good, unbiased opinion on things that may be happening on your vehicle, but also if you are just wondering if you should have your transmission fluid exchanged or if you should have your brake fluid exchanged. We can answer those questions, so you give us a call.
That's an invitation, folks.
It is. That is an invitation. And the number, we want to do that. We have to get the phone number.
Be helpful.
And that is 800-224-9090. And that's on any Saturday morning that you name, and that's at 8:05 to 10 Eastern Time. And you can also watch the show.
If you think you can handle the watching, too. It's a lot to listen to, but to watch it, too,
That's tough.
could be overload.
Yes, it is possible that could be overload.
It's an acquired taste.
It is. Absolutely. And that number again, 800-224-9090, and we will be there. We normally start the show off with a tech tip. What do you think? You think we should do that?
It's not too early in the morning to get the brains tickled out there. Let's go.
Let's do it. All right. The winner will receive a prize package, and that prize package will include a shirt and a lot of other items that go along with that. And here is the question. It is, Dynasty recently purchased a BMW i8 electric vehicle. She got caught between charging stations and ran out of juice at 4 a.m. She sat there for 2 hours and was able to go to the next station 2 hours after the sun come out. So what is the answer to today's tech tip quiz? If you know the answer, you give us a call. And let's go over to the phone calls now. And we will go over to, if I'm not mistaken, this may be Donna.
Or it's Donna's phone.
Hey, Don. This is hi. This is Donna from Augusta. I've got a twofold question for you.
Absolutely. We are ready.
I've got a 97 Hyundai Elantra.
Mm-hmm.
It's running hot. I've had 4 people check it and say there's nothing wrong with the car. And I know it's running hot because after they've left and did all their liquor diagnostics, you drive the road maybe about half a mile and it goes hot.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Are you going at a slower speed when this engine gets hot?
No, because I know my husband even drove it for a good little while, and it's still running hot. So I tell him, my mama sure the radiator needs to get changed or something like that, but there's something wrong with the car.
Okay. And how many miles is on this vehicle?
It has about 97,000.
97,000. Okay. So as far as the running hot, are you actually driving down the road at, let's say, 60, 65 miles an hour, and the temperature gauge goes up much higher than it should? Or are you just riding along in traffic and the temperature gauge goes higher, or does a light come on? What does it?
The light comes on.
Okay, so the light says hot. And were you going down the road when that happened, or kind of stop and go traffic?
It's stop and go traffic.
Okay. All right, I'm going to mention something that real commonly either gets misdiagnosed or does not get diagnosed at all, because it's something that you actually have to check for to find out if it's good or bad, and that is your electric cooling fan. Now, I'm going to mention a couple of things first that there's no doubt in my mind somebody's already tested, but whenever a vehicle comes in for running hot problem, of course, we always check for the coolant level to make sure it's good, that there's no air in the system, and that's good. My guess is those things have been done if several people's looked at it. What I wonder is if they let that vehicle set, what is supposed to happen if your AC is in the off position is your vehicle will sit there and run, and then when the temperature gets up to about 220, then an electric cooling fan is supposed to cut on that is in directly behind the radiator, and it's supposed to pull cool air through the radiator, cool the water down, which cools the engine down. And then once it gets down to that certain temperature, usually about 210, then the cooling fan will cut off, and it could sit there and just do that all day. Cooling fan cutting on, back off, cut off. Now, if the cooling fan fails, because all it is an electric motor, and electric motors fail after time, then it starts getting up to 220, never cuts on, and then boom, it continues to rise. Hot light comes on, and then you have a problem. That's a common thing that we run into. Other things get into a little deeper, for instance, head gaskets, internal items, things like that, which can be tested, but you have to test specifically for a block test. And, Donna, if you don't mind, I'm going to find out if Jim has anything he would like to add to that.
Hello, Donna, and I've been listening to you and Aaron both. And one extension off of Aaron's first point about the cooling fans is cooling fans are like a paddle fan in your ceiling of your home. There is something that tells that fan to go on. Now, the fan can be bad, but if it's not getting the signal, wherever the sensor is that's on the engine that reads that 220-degree trigger, let's call it, not telling the fan to come on, it's just another place that you could have a problem. And sometimes things that are a problem with a car can be tied to something that was done recently. Shortly before this was done, did anything happen to the car, either service-wise or?
Yeah, I know we got it serviced and they did all kinds of different changes. And the gentleman said it didn't need anything else, so we took it downtown because I live over south. Where I live, I've taken it to different people that I don't have any trust in, and I said I'm kind of scared to drive it, so I might just have it towed over to one of you guys' office who at least you might pay, but you won't get an honest diagnosis. Mm-hmm. Because the first we take it is way downtown, but I don't want to drive it all the way downtown with it running hot like that.
Yeah, and you're that's very, very smart to not drive a vehicle if it's getting hot. So what I would recommend doing, even if you have to have the car towed, but wherever it goes, mention to the person that the vehicle does definitely run hot, and you need, or at least the temperature light definitely comes on, because of course you always have to worry about a false reading, and give them all of the symptoms. Now, if that shop, whoever you take it to, if they say, no, I'm not finding a problem, then I would recommend you going down there and saying, may I ride with somebody, and ride with them and show it that it is, and tell them you would like to make sure they check the cooling fans and run a block check on the vehicle.
And make sure that temp light isn't the malfunction too.
Okay. And did that answer your questions, Donna?
Hello?
Donna, you mentioned that you had another question for us, and what was that?
Yes. I just out of curiosity. What is the average cost of oil change and tire rotation in Augusta? Because it tends to vary. I went online, and it tends to vary anything, I think, from about $80 to $190.
Well, I can tell you what ours or the price at C&C Automotive is. We run an oil change special. We call it the CC Deluxe Oil Change and Lube. And for semi-synthetic oil change, which is a fair amount of cars have that, it runs $34.95. and a full synthetic oil change on most cars runs $64.95. For instance, yours would be $64.95. That includes a tire rotation, and it also includes topping off all the fluid levels, adjusting the tire pressure, and performing a 28-point inspection. So that's pretty standard price. Now we have a digital inspection that we always do also, where we go through all the items on the car. And Don, I'm mentioning this knowing that the majority of the people listening here are in different cities. But the reason I want to mention it is so that people know what's available at some places. Because the oil change, one of the most important things, when the part having to do with the inspection is the big part about the oil change. Checking things like the coolant level, the tire pressure, the belts, and plus seeing if anything's due is the most important part of the oil change service.
Yeah. Because I know my car used synthetic, but some I thought $160 was kind of high to do that on a new car.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. And Donna, Jim mentioned one other thing. Of course, with the red light coming on, we're assuming that the car is running hot, and it probably is. Take it very seriously no matter what when a red light comes on. But there is always a chance there could be an electrical issue causing the light to come on, but the vehicle not being hot. And the way a technician normally tells that, they drive it until if that light does come on or it does seem to be getting hotter than it should, they can actually use a little temperature gun, which is very inexpensive piece of equipment, but that we just point it at the engine and say, yes, this temperature is up to 210, that's within limits, or this temperature is up to 240, which is out of limits, and it'll let them know a true reading of the running hot. But you're very good taking that very seriously, on that running hot issue, and definitely get that solved, and don't hesitate to call back if we can help you in any other way.
Okay, yeah, because I think I'm gonna make an appointment and get it towed to the shop, because I said no, I'm not driving that, because I can just drive down the road and blow the engine when I could have maybe had something that was a very simple problem that I made become complicated.
Yeah, exactly. That's very good. And thank you very much for the call.
Thank you, Donna.
And thank you too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, that was a great call. I enjoyed talking with Donna there.
Sure. Sounds like you helped her out, yes.
Yes, we did. I think we did. Okay, we'll go over to the next caller. And this next caller will be Ron. And Ron's over at Costco. I tell you, a lot of people love Costco, which I do too. Beautiful store.
Looks like he's interrupting his shopping for the benefit of automotive information exchange here.
Well, actually, I might
quiz.
be wrong, but I think Ron has called before, and I think that he may work with Costco, if I'm not mistaken. Ron, welcome to the C&C Auto Show. How can we help you?
No, I love Costco, but I feel like they should pay me as much as I spend there. No, I worked for the big brown truck company. But anyway, I was calling to answer the tech tip quiz.
Oh, Ron. Well, if it's okay, we're going to put you on stage first.
Sunglasses?
Good.
Right up there.
And do you have your sunglasses on, Ron?
I do. I'm ready for it.
All right.
Okay, good. All right, now we're going to read the question real quick. And the question is, Dynasty recently purchased a BMW i8 electric vehicle. She got caught between charging stations and ran out of juice at 4 a.m. She sat there for 2 hours, but was able to go to the next station 2 hours after the sun come out. And Ron, we're all looking at you for the answer to this puzzler that we have here. What is the answer to today's Tech Tip quiz?
Well, I don't know the answer you have because you're tricky. But the real answer is that EV cars perform better when the batteries are warmed up.
And you do have a
In
strong
fact,
point
Tesla
there.
has a preheater to warm the batteries up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
And that
I got
is a
feeling
great.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, that is a very good thing, Ron, to mention that because I mean cold weather is
Okay.
going to have a negative effect on these batteries.
I'm not getting a good feeling, Ron.
That's right. They don't perform too good up north.
There's a but in here somewhere.
Ron, I really don't. I can't do this.
It's an answer, but
Don't do it.
Oh,
Don't
no.
do it.
Here we go.
Hey,
we've heard it before.
Okay. I told you you were tricky.
Yeah, there's something going. I don't know the answer to this one, but there's something mixed up in there a little bit. You got to sort through some things.
there it is. I found it. Hey, Ron,
There
we
we
really
go.
do appreciate you
I got
calling,
it.
though.
Okay. I enjoy your show, Aaron.
Thanks for keeping those packages on time.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Have a great day.
Goodbye.
Because Billy's all queued up. He's ready
Hello,
to go.
Billy. Welcome back
Here
to
I
the
am.
C&C Auto Show. We tied you up before the break so you wouldn't get away, and we got you back.
So
Now,
we're gonna-
what can we help
He's
with?
going to give it to us.
I'm gonna be put on stage. I'm gonna try to take tip quiz.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, we're going to do just that
Get that 3-point restraint in place.
on stage, and we're going to read the tech tip quiz very quickly. And that's that Dynasty recently purchased a BMW i8 vehicle. She got caught between charging stations and ran out of juice. At 4 in.the morning, she sat there for 2 hours, but was able to go to the next station 2 hours after the sun come out. Why? That's the question. I mean, the whole deal is why did that happen?
After sitting there for 4 hours or a couple hours before the sun came up and not running anything, the little bit of heat that she had in the car was able to warm the batteries up enough just to get her to pull down 2 stations down there to one that weren't, and she was able to charge it up.
Let's put that in front of the judges and see what they say. No, that was a good try though. Very good try.
But Billy knows what it feels like to win, I think.
He does. Yeah. He is.
I think he might have a mug or two.
Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you, man.
And regardless, we appreciate
That's
you
right.
calling.
Any answer's appreciated.
Exactly.
Entertaining.
We love it.
Because sometimes the ones that are the wrong ones are better. We've had that. Yeah.
We enjoy your call. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the number to call is 800-224-9090. If you have a question about your car, your truck, your SUV, you give us a call, and we are here for you. And let's go over to Ron. Ron, welcome to the C&C Auto Show. What can we help with?
Well, good morning, fellas. I was just going to get you to get Blue to pucker up his lips.
Oh, so we're going to need to bring Blue out. And Blue is definitely a union worker, so he will get very upset if we don't call him on each tech tip quiz. So we absolutely have to do that.
Wants that double pay on Saturday.
Well, yes, that is true. You got to.
He always sounds good. Always sounds the same.
Yeah, exactly the same every time. Okay, you can go outside now, Blue. Thank you. All right, now we will go to the tech tip quiz. And the question was, Dynasty recently purchased a BMW i8 vehicle. She got caught between charging stations and ran out of juice at 4 in.the morning. She sat there for 2 hours, but was able to go to the next station 2 hours after the sun come out. What is the answer to today's tech tip quiz?
Well, the old gal was looking at TV one night, seen the advertisement for the solar panel generator, and had stashed it in her trunk with her extra oil and antifreeze and all the other things that your fire extinguisher, everything you need to help yourself on the road. And when the sun come out, she put out the solar panel, charged up her batteries, and was merrily going down life's highway.
Wow, you put a lot of thought into that.
Ron's been on it.
And it sounded real good. But
Oh, there it is. There's that 3-letter word.
wait a second. You was mighty quick with that button here.
I know, but no, well, it wasn't me. See, what happens is Blue that normally blows through the horn, he sucks in the horn and it makes that sound. So Blue did that.
Well,
I did not do it.
I just hope you realize you're messing with people's emotions out here.
I know, and I don't take it lightly. It's really something that I give a lot of thought to.
Yeah, about 2 seconds.
Well,
but Ron, you're galvanized, so you're ready to handle it.
Yeah.
And you're
Well,
also
look, guys,
awesome, Ron.
Yeah, Ron's a frequent flyer.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much.
Look,
I love
guys,
you calling, man. Okay.
Look, one last thing.
Sure.
Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one last thing. I know y'all heard on the news where they've got this strip of road now that can recharge the cars. Do y'all have any idea on how that's done?
You know, Ron, I'm going to have to say no, I don't. I do not. Jim,
Okay.
have you heard anything?
No, and Ron, you're not pulling our leg, are you? Because you could do that.
No,
it's for real?
No. It's been experimental for a while, and they've got this one stretch that they're doing their main experiments on. That it hasn't gone statewide. But anyway, and another just a comment. I didn't know it was such a problem to get gamblers to Las Vegas so quickly as for the Secretary of Transportation to come on the TV and tell us that we're going to spend billions of dollars to do a high-speed rail system from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. I just didn't know there was a problem. Getting gamblers to the tables was a problem.
I don't think they've had much of a problem so far.
Yeah, I think the gamblers are getting their fine. And didn't they have a high-speed rail system in California talked about a few years ago that never happened?
Oh, yeah.
So now just instead of going north-south, they want to go east-west.
I think it partial happened.
Spent money on it.
Yeah. Well, look, guys, all by and by we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So I appreciate y'all being on the show on the weekends. Y'all bring a spark of joy to my life.
Well, good.
Well, Ron, that's what it's all about, and we appreciate that very much, too.
It's made better when folks call in. It really does.
We always love it when you call. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you,
man. Too. Okay, the number to call is 800-224-9090. If you have a question about your car, your truck, your SUV, you give us a call, and we have a person named Wow.
That's all it says.
That's what it says. Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Welcome to the C&C Auto Show.
We can work with that.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Welcome to the C&C Auto Show. How can we help you?
This is Charles. I want to give a shot at the tech tip quiz, Mr. Aaron. And
Oh,
Mr.
Charles, man, that is great. Well, we're gonna put you on stage.
Okay.
And of course, the question is: Dynasty recently purchased a BMW i8 electric vehicle. She got caught between charging stations, ran out of juice at 4 a.m. She sat there for 2 hours, but was able to go to the next station 2 hours after the sun come out. Why?
Well, I thought that last gentleman's answer was it, but a record came out that is equipped with one of the chargers and charged her car, and it took, I guess, that long to get it charged up, fully charged up, and then she went on down her merry way.
Wow, that's pretty good. He put some thought into that one,
He worked
too.
on that like Ron did.
All right, don't move, Charles. That hurts to do that to people.
No, Aaron. I'm immune to that sound.
Charles, we really do appreciate you calling.
He's been inoculated.
And look here, I want you and the whole C&C family to have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Okay?
You do the same, and we do appreciate the call. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all. And I'm enjoying the show. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, the number to call is 800-224-9090. Jim, I think that it would be a great idea if we lock this next caller in.
Yeah, we got enough time to get started with it, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And let's go over to next caller. Welcome to the C&C Auto Show, and what can we help you with?
Hey, guys. How y'all doing today?
Doing great. We wanted to lock you in. We don't want you to go anywhere, so we got about 30 seconds or so for you to give us the question.
Yeah, so we can dream something up.
Yeah, and then we're going to put it in front of our panel during the break and bring back an answer. What can we help with?
Yeah, well, look, my name is Kent Yoder. I have a 2012 Dodge Grand Caravan. I've been fighting an electrical issue for quite a while with it. Basically, what happens when you turn the high beams on, it'll just randomly, the whole dash will go to blinking on and off, and it'll kill the engine. Your lights, exterior lights will go off. Everything will just be dead. If you let the high beams on long enough, it'll actually 100% everything go dead, and nothing will work. And it don't matter if you turn the key all the way off, turn it back on. There's one red light in the dash that'll stay on, and then my blinker lights outside will just be very dim. Only thing you got to do is pull the negative terminal off the battery, let it sit for a couple seconds, shove it back on, and the van will run perfectly fine. But it only does it when my high beams come on.
Okay.
And I have done a lot of stuff trying to figure this dumb thing out, and it's about to drive me crazy.
All right.
And I was just curious if maybe y'all ran across something like that at some point in time.
Well, we're going to put that in front of the judges, and if you don't mind, we're going to put you on hold just a little bit, and we're going to be right back with an answer. Ken, going over the we have done extensive conversation on this issue that you have with the 2012 Dodge Caravan, and if I'm not mistaken, what you're running into is you will cut the high beams on, and then the dash will start doing some unusual things, blinking and such. And then if you continue to leave them on, the whole vehicle will just evidently cut off and lose power to the whole vehicle. Is that correct?
That's right. So to give you a little bit more background on it, when it first started doing it, I didn't have a clue what was going on. I did a good bit of research and found they had such problems with the TIPM modules on them things. So I had the TIPM module. I sent it off and got it rebuilt, went through all new relays and everything on in, because when this happens, there's two relays in that TIPM module that just click real fast, nonstop. In this whole process, I put battery, alternator, different things on it that I thought it could be, even to the point of a high-low beam switch, thinking it might be something in there internally shorting out, causing issues. But what's really crazy, after everything that I've done, whether it was a TIPM rebuild or the high-low beam switch or the battery alternator, after each one of them, and I go back and I run the van, it'll run fine for like 3 months. And then I think I have it fixed, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it hits again. And like I said before, when you take that battery cable off, it's like a complete reset. You put it back on, shoot, you might go another 2 months before it ever acts up again. And out of the blue, out of nowhere, I've actually driven around for quite a while with my own meter in my van with wires run up to the battery just to see if I'm getting a battery voltage drop or anything crazy like that when I turn high beams on, and there's no rhyme or reason. It just does it.
Okay.
And it's getting. I've had people say, well, just put LED light bulbs in. They won't draw the amount of current and probably be all right. I'm like, well, I don't like putting a Band-Aid over a problem. I like to figure it out and fix it.
Yeah, it sounds like you do a good job. You've done some, when you mentioned voltage drop test and some of the other things you did, it sounds like you are good at what you do. And also the other thing that I like that you're doing something right now that a lot of other good technicians do. A good technician is one that swallows his or her pride completely and willing to ask any questions that we want. We discussed that here at this shop just yesterday. We were getting ready to put a timing cover back on a vehicle. And before we do, we have a rule that a second technician has to look at that item before it goes back in. If it's a transmission that's out, a second technician has. So in other words, asking different opinions like you're doing now. And we kind of honored that you call and asking us.
And a lot of the things you mentioned were in this recent part of the call were things we were talking about during the break because they're valid. They're valid things, the alternator and so forth.
Now, one thing that I will mention that I feel like is a strong possibility is you may have a bad ground somewhere on this vehicle. Now, the way to find the ground, it's going to be to do a pin check on that tip of module and possibly other components on the vehicle. But what that does is you have to have a wiring diagram of all the pins that are going to that unit, and you're going to have a volt ohm meter and be able to run voltage drop and check each one. Now, one vehicle that I had that did very similar to what yours is doing, what did turn out to be loose pins at that unit because, of course, a lot of them are working off a very low voltage. And because of that, all it takes is a slight bad connection to do it, which sounds a little bit like what you have. Have you tried taking the connector off at that tip of module and taking a little something and just go in and what I recommend using is another male connector that will go in and just kind of twist it around and then clean all the connectors and look and feel for any of them that are loose feeling. If you take the male connector that's supposed to go in there and you push it in there and it's very loose feeling, then that could be a bad one. And then once you tighten up any of them that are bad or replace any of the connector pins that are bad in there or loose feeling, and then put some dielectric grease on there and then see how it does. And also, any grounds that you have around that vehicle, they make a wiring diagram that only shows the grounds of the vehicle. Go to every ground, take it, do what now?
I was going to say, and where is the best place to find these schematics at?
That would be all data. Now, if you've got a shop, and I'm going to give you an example, Jim here, he does a lot of stuff to his own cars and does very well at it. And I got others that do that also. And a lot of times if they need a little something, of course, technicians don't have a lot of time to do stuff like that because they're running strong. But if you got a shop that you normally deal with and you say, hey, can you run me a wiring diagram on the grounds on my so-and-so, you can do it. Now, other times you might be able to just Google it and get a wiring diagram for that also. But you will need a diagram of the grounds. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my problem is I don't have a shop that I use very often because I do all my own work. I'm actually a tractor mechanic down here in Waynesboro, so I do all my own stuff.
Give me a call. Give me a call this week and just ask speak to Aaron, and I'll see what I can do about getting you a ground wire diagram.
Okay.
The Telfair Street.
Hard to do that all the time. Yeah, I'm on Telfair Street. I'm on the downtown location. Hard to do that all the time for everybody, but when I can, I like to. You need that wiring diagram, clean the grounds, check those pin connectors, and then evidently you're charging as you're riding down the road because you said you've been doing that. So you got a charging system that's evidently good. It sounds like you have a connector that's going to be bad.
And as far as the grounds go, in the meantime, while you're waiting for the schematic to give you a full array of where they are, many of them are visible. They go to maybe to one of the fenders. Okay,
exactly.
And they're close to the battery. They can be far from the battery, and there can be a bunch of them. And you just look for sheet metal screws with typically black wires on them that are going into the body of the vehicle. Start with those.
Yeah, I already have done that.
Okay.
I have looked high and low everywhere for ground wires going to the frames, even to the point of every one of them I can find, taking them off, cleaning them up, and putting them all back together.
And some of them are hidden.
I did want to ask
believe that.
one question, though. When it does this, have you ever checked for trouble codes right after it acted up to see if it's setting any kind of trouble
Yeah, that's
code?
the interesting thing. That's what led me to the actual high-low beam switch. At the same time, I did the steering angle sensor, behind the steering wheel, because the code that came up after that had to do with loss of communications to those. And so that's what led me there. And so I'm like, well, it was a couple $100. I figured, well, it'd be worth a shot of trying, so I replaced them. But if like you said, if it's just a bad ground, that I know from my experience with tractors, a bad ground will make any controller go offline.
Yeah, exactly. It will.
I mean, it's kind of, that's the problem with a bad ground. It can send you one direction that's 5 miles from where the actual problem is.
Exactly. And also check those connectors. But give me a call, and we really appreciate you calling. And we had our producer in there act like he was part of a rock band doing some silly stuff. And we're having a great time. I did want to mention one thing that happened to me, and I didn't get a chance to mention this during the first hour. But I was last night going home. It was terrible. I had 2 or 3 things that I had to do on the way home, and I forgot to mention this again. But the major problem that I had was that on the way home I had to stop at 2 different places. I had to stop at the grocery store first, which I did and pick stuff up, and then I had to go by CVS to pick up some allergy medicine. And so I did those. Now, while I was in the drugstore, somebody stole over $200 worth of groceries out of my console. That's a joke. Okay, let's go to the caller. All right, we'll go over to Judy. Judy, I'm sorry you had to witness that, but welcome to the C&C Auto Show.
Good morning.
Good morning. And what can we help you with today?
So I might have an answer to the tip quiz.
Oh, wow. Well, you know what we're going to need to do? We're going to need to walk over here to the refrigerator because we stuck it in the refrigerator during the first hour, and now we're going to have to take it back out. So we definitely have to reread it and definitely let you know that you could be a winner and you'll get a prize package with that. So here is the question. Dynasty recently purchased a BMW i8 electric vehicle. She got caught between charging stations and ran out of juice. At 4 a.m, she sat there for 2 hours, but was able to go to the next station 2 hours after the sun come out. What is the answer to today's Tech Tip quiz?
So I think that because she had to wait a couple of hours, the batteries started to recharge themselves, and she had enough power in the battery to start the car to get her to the charging station.
Judy, have you ever had an on button?
Not yet.
Well, you are about to experience something brand new. Here we go.
Uh-oh.
Judy, I don't do that happily. I have to put a lot of thought into that when I do that. So, but I really do appreciate it very much. Thank you for the call.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.
That was so nice of her to call us. Okay, the number to call, 800-224-9090. Let's go over to Robert. And hello, Robert. Welcome to the C&C Auto Show. What can we help you with?
I got a 1994 Cadillac Fleetwood, and my question is on my headlights. They're burned on bright and dim, but when I put my directionals on, they don't work no more. Is that having anything to do with the bulb, or what area I should look into?
Okay, Robert, I want to completely understand what your headlights are doing now. You cut the headlights on, and they work, but when you cut the blinker on, the headlights go off?
No, they burn, but the directionals don't work at all.
Oh, okay. So you have so even if the headlights are in the off position, do your turn signals work then?
No, they don't work. Period.
Oh, so your turn signals don't work. That's what the issue is then.
Okay.
All righty. Yeah, no doubt. I always like to start with the simplest thing that can cause a problem, and of course that would be fuses on that particular part. So I would definitely check the fuses first, and then once you do that, now Jim, I'm gonna mention one thing that I've seen before on this, and I'm gonna because if all of them go out. Sometimes your hazard switch, the part that would normally cause your lights to be on, to flash, your hazard light, sometimes that little button can get stuck in the middle. And if it gets stuck in the middle, it will cause a issue with the turn signals not to work. So I would cut the hazard switch on and then back off.
And when you turn the hazard switch on, you should hear them clicking and then do a quick walk around the car real fast and see if all 4 of those are flashing as well. Because I think Aaron's right that the 4-way hazards override the turn signal control. And then, of course, you've got a turn signal flasher module somewhere, the thing we always hear clicking. And if that's somehow failed, but first I think Aaron's onto a good thing. If you run the flashers, the hazard flashers, and then see if you've got those bulbs illuminating, you at least know your circuitry's solid.
Exactly. And we may have lost some of the callers. We had a little technical issue that the producer is working on now. So we may have lost him, but I hope that the information that we gave out there
if he's on the air, he'll hear that as well.
Yeah.
Are you still there?
Yeah, thank you.
You're still here.
Yeah, it's just our display was out.
Right.
We weren't sure if the call was good.
That is awesome that you're still with us. Okay, so it definitely fuses and then the items that Jim mentioned, and that should take care of that issue.
All right, thank you very much for that.
Hey, we thank you very much for the call. We do appreciate it, that giving us a call. Okay, the number to call is 800-224-9090.
If he goes out there and puts those 4-way flashers on and comes back, call us back. If he wants.
have seen that happen many times to where that switch will get caught in the middle there. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, we will be going to the next caller. We have a screen that is doing some issues.
So we can't see it, but the production crew controls everything. They're going to do it for us.
They did it for us already. Welcome to the C&C Auto Show.
Hello,
what
Ken.
can we help you with?
I got an answer to your tech tip quiz.
Oh, you sound like a very positive, motivated, and confident person.
He's motivated like you are on that switch over there. So let's see who wins today.
Now, that's where the question is, which button should I hold my finger over? Okay. Well, to start with, I know the one we got to do first, and that's blue. And the second one, we'll read the question. Dynasty recently purchased a BMW i8 electric vehicle. She got caught between charging stations and ran out of juice at 4 in the morning. She sat there for 2 hours, but was able to go to the next station and after the sun come up. Okay.
Now,
why? We're going to let you read the answer, and then we're going to let you hold throughout to get to find out if you're correct or not. What's the answer?
Well, that particular car has this sort of a hybrid, and it has an engine in there that can actually charge the battery while you drive because the engine is connected to the rear wheels.
Okay. Well, we're going to be right back, and we will let you know whether you get a crowd clapping or an awe button. We'll be right back.
All right.
We had a gentleman named Ken here, and he was very confident that he had the answer. He didn't call and say, I may have the answer. He said, I have the answer to the tech tip quiz. And Ken, give us that answer one more time that you gave us on our tech tip quiz. I'll mention it. Basically, you said that it was it recharged itself, is what it amounts to. Is that right?
Right. It's sort of a hybrid where the gasoline engine can actually charge the battery, and it also, at the same time, I think it can power the rear wheels, so you might be able to drive while it's recharging too.
So, Kim, we mentioned that when we got back from the break, we were either going to give you a cheering crowd and everybody going crazy, or the button, I guess we could call it. Okay, be still, because here it goes. Wait for it. Wait for it.
All right.
Oh, Ken. Oh, no. No.
Is that the right one?
That means you did not answer the tech quiz. But the main thing, Ken, we really appreciate you calling. That part is good. Very good.
Playing along is great.
And most people get over the part on getting the button in a few days. And
it sounded like a good answer, didn't it?
It did. It sounded really good.
See, you had an answer. It just wasn't the one that Aaron dreamt up.
And we really do appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right. Number to call, 800-224-9090. If you have a question about your car, your truck, your SUV, all you have to do is give us a call, and we will go over to the next caller. I think
this might be.
Hey.
Yes. Welcome to the C&C Auto Show, and what can we help you with?
I'm going to try to take tip quiz.
Well, we're going to put you on stage.
It sounds like Billy.
That's me.
All right, here we go. He had something hit him while he was sitting there, and he said, I know
he's
it
like,
now.
He's like a phoenix. He's coming,
right.
And I don't mean Pontiac.
Yes.
Right.
The question was, Dynasty recently purchased a BMW i8 vehicle. She got caught between charging stations and ran out of juice at 4 a.m. She sat there for 2 hours, but was able to go to the next station 2 hours after the sun come out. Billy, everyone is looking at you to solve this tech tip quiz for today. And what is the answer?
That particular model actually comes with a 110 cord to charge the car with. She was able to knock on someone's door, get them to let them plug it in, get it charged up enough to run it down to its charging station and get it fully charged.
Wow. That is a lot of thought process on that. Let's run it past the judges and see what the judges say. And they're holding up the cards, and here's what they... Oh, no. Billy, not many people have ever been able to take the button 2 times in one day. So
he's resilient.
Yeah, you are.
We're not done.
Yeah.
You did good, though.
We're not over yet. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for the call. We really appreciate it. And if another one comes up, you give us a call again. Okay, let's go to the next caller, and that would be Tim. Tim has a Arcadia with an issue. What's it doing, Tim?
Well, I actually don't own it. I'm looking at it to possibly buy, and here's my question. I've done a little bit of research, and these Arcadias have a 3.6-liter V6, and they don't have a great name, these engines, I guess. But this 2014 only has 60,000 miles on it. And I just want to get you to your opinion. Would you buy a vehicle like this, or has it got too much of a bad name as far as that engine goes?
Now, I don't think the Acadia has a terrible name. Now, of course, they are a vehicle just like any others. If it's been taken care of, it will last much longer. What happens on some vehicles when they get known as a bad vehicle? Might be a vehicle that did not have the servicing done, and they don't accept abuse as well as other. I'm going to give you another one. I'll go ahead and mention the name of them both. The Kia Hyundai. They can be a very good vehicle, but they don't accept abuse at all. Like if you skip some oil changes or if the coolant wasn't flush when it should be, they're gonna go bad. The engine will have issues. But on those that are serviced on a regular basis, they can last for they will last for many, many years. So I guess what I'm saying, I think if I was going to get one like that, I would like to see the history records of some kind. And with things like Carfax and other electronic records, that if it's an individual selling it, a lot of times you have access to these things. Even if you're buying it through like a dealership, there should be some Carfax records of how often the vehicle was serviced. So I don't have a problem at all with the Acadia, not a bad vehicle, but just like any other vehicle, I would recommend having a pre-purchase inspection performed, and also that inspection should include research of records. And if it's an individual that for some reason didn't take it to a shop that reports to Carfax, then I would ask to see the records on the vehicle. If they didn't have them, either I would pay a lot less for the car or I wouldn't buy it, because I want something that's going. When I buy a car, I marry it. I slip a ring on my car's finger because I keep my cars normally a long time. So I would go those steps, and I feel like if you did that with 60,000 miles, that vehicle should last you a long, long time. Now, 60,000, and I'm going to mention this real quick, is you got some history that's coming due. The transmission fluid exchange should be done at about 60, somewhere between 40 and 60. The brake system flush may be due to be serviced. He's got a 2014 Acadia that he's thinking about purchasing, and I mentioned to Tim that it's a good vehicle. I hadn't really seen anything terrible with the Acadias, but just like some other vehicles, they don't stand abuse. So we want to make sure we look at the history. I'm going to add one more thing, and then I'm going to get Jim to give his opinion. But I want to mention to check the transmission fluid for any discoloration, because that could mean that it's extra hot. You can smell it. You can look at the color of it. But that would all fit in with the pre-purchase inspection. Jim, did you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, for purposes of the Carfax, not only will it give you some, hopefully most, of the service history, it's also going to give you a lineage of ownership. And with a vehicle that's still relatively new, it'd be nice to see that you're maybe the second owner, maybe the third. But if you're the fifth owner, maybe the vehicle was a rental vehicle in its first days of ownership, that can always be a sort of a warning sign if a rental car company owned it, for example. But reduced number of owners, the fewest number of owners, is typically a good sign for you as well.
Yes, and history. Tim, did that answer the question? Hold on.
See if he can hear us.
Tim was probably listening, but he could not speak. Tim, did that answer the question for you?
Oh. Yeah. In fact, they have all the records. This is a one-person owner, and they have all the records. And you mentioned the transmission and brake fluid exchange. That has been done in the last 15,000 miles.
Oh, Tim,
So
I'm beginning to like that car. I think it sounds really good, especially if someone was willing to do the transmission fluid exchange and the brake fluid exchange. That means they care about that vehicle.
Well, and they kept the records, too, and they're forthcoming with them. So
yes,
that's a comfort factor right there where we're sitting.
Yes, and I would still have the pre-purchase inspection done. And I'm going to mention this also, Tim. It's something that I do during the pre-purchase inspection. But get in the car and check and run everything you can run: the cruise control, the radio front speakers, the back speakers, the side speakers, the defrost, the windows, every single window, every single door lock. Because here what happens, and this is what I think about very closely as I'm doing a pre-purchase inspection. If you find something right now, let's say a door lock is not locking and unlocking, and that's $200 to get fixed. If you find it now, high probability, many times they'll either fix it for you or take that much off. If you find it after you bought it, it's doubtful.
And I've had times where I'm looking at cars and I mention pre-purchase inspection, and there's a mic drop. Person's not interested at all. That's a good, clear indication that the owner has doubts. And I've sold a car where someone says, "I want to take it to my mechanic." I say, "Fine, let's go. When do you want to go?"
I would recommend it.
Because the seller should be comfortable with you letting someone look at it. And it should be a welcome thing on their part. So
yeah, but and the main answer to your question though is yes. I feel like the Acadia could be a very good car, and from what you're telling me, it sounds like this could be a good one. Just take it on that good test drive. Now I'll tell you some of the things that I do also, just that may help others in other areas. I like to look under the dash and under the seats because let's say that it is one that's had a major issue with something like flood damage, which I couldn't picture that with the car you're describing. You can't wipe it all down under the dash. You can't wipe it all down under the seats. But I like to look at things like that. I like to look at the trunk. I like to look at the spare tire, the tools there. Is the owner's manual there? Does that dome light work on the right-hand side and the left-hand side? Just go out, do all that, then take it so that somebody can do the pre-purchase as far as checking the brakes, the front end, all of that. And I feel like you're going to be fine.
My brother drives one. I don't know what year it is, but they bought it after not buying a new car for a long time. They looked all over. That's the vehicle they bought. So,
Tim, I think we have a consensus. Okay. You're going to be good.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much.
We thank you. Great call, Tim. Thank you. Okay, the number to call is 800-224-9090. Oh, let's go over to my friend Carol. Let's see what Carol's got going on today.
He's always got good information.
He does. He's a contributor to the show, and we appreciate that. Carol, welcome to the show, and what can we help with?
Well, two things. One, Jim mentioned the Carfax. I just want to remind everybody, as far as the Carfax is concerned, a lot of times the car dealership sells the Carfax report. The Carfax is not 100% guarantee that the car has never been wrecked just because it's clean. The Carfax only picks up stuff that's public domain information and stuff that comes out of dealerships. So, if you have a major wreck and there's an accident report on it, then it will pick that up. But if somebody, let's just say they're out at their hunting land and they hit a tree and do $10,000 worth of damage and it's fixed by the insurance company, but there's a police report on it, that incident would never go.
That is a great point.
The pre-inspection that Aaron and other mechanics do, having a relationship with a body shop where you can go by and go, "Hey, Carol or Stevie Kendrick, can you look at this car for me and tell me if you ever think it's had any paint work or been wrecked?" And we do that free for all of our customers that are customers that, they come by. I can take a mill gauge in about 5 minutes. I can go, "Yep, this one's had paint work," or "No, it hadn't had paint work." And if it's had paint work, then we start looking a little bit closer to see if it's had some collision damage or not. Chances are, if it's never had any paint work, it probably hasn't had any collision damage. So just that little fact to remember when purchasing a car. So.
That is a great tip. And I want to mention this is Carol Proctor, AC Proctor Paint and Body, and he's a contributor to the show. And so you know your stuff. And I think that's a great point that you're making, Carol, that not everything is on a Carfax, but it is an important step in the process of purchasing a car. It's just one tool in the drawer that you use. So that is great.
And then something else, and you can look at your phone and tell me if I'm correct or not. But I sent you a note about that. I don't want to mess it up for somebody that really wants to win the prizes. But look at your phone and see if I was right about what the person did to get their car charged.
Been wondering why that phone's been chirping over there.
Well, let me find out. Let me see. Okay, let me look right here, and we got right there. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Hold on. And Is this a yes or is this a no? Oh, Carol, you didn't even tell everyone to answer, and you still you got one.
Well, I thought that that your little note about the waiting for the sun to come up at the end was a notation that it was some type of new portable solar charging unit that you could pull out and charge your car enough to get to the thing.
Well, let me tell you this. I do not know the answer to this question, but I know the guy that writes these questions. And there is...
Oh, yeah, and that would be right along the line of what he would come up with.
Yeah, there's an Aaron factor got to be in here somewhere. And I already shot during one of the breaks over to him where I think a caller might need to look closely at the question, and he just gave me that little grin that he does.
Hey, Carol, it's only fair that if you got one, he should get one, too.
Well, I haven't given him an answer yet, but I guess that's enough of a wrong answer.
All right.
Hey, Jim, I think you and I both agree. He is a sick individual when it comes to the way he thinks these questions up. And
yeah.
I know it's not AI doing. I know he's not running the questions and getting them from AI because they're too Aaron crazy.
Yeah.
You know, to be a computer coming up with the questions.
Yeah, it's not artificial intelligence. It's Aaron intelligence. That's what it is.
All right, y'all have a good day.
Mercy.
Thank you for the call. We always appreciate that. Okay, the number to call is 800-224-9090.
Okay.
And we will be going to a break, and as soon as we return, we'll be going over to George.
George is there.
Yeah, and what was this? I got this 2 minutes to mention this real quick. Let me see. Let's see here. I'll mention that this was Bill. Bill had a deal to where he was a real cautious guy, and he was so cautious that he read that most of the accidents happen within 3 miles of your house. So he moved.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be playing here all week.
That was where's a button to make everybody laugh here? I can get some respect here.
We haven't used the clap button yet today.
There we go.
Yeah, got to get it from somewhere.
Over to the next caller, and that would be Paul with a 2015 Silverado. Paul, how can we help you?
Yes, sir. I need, good morning, and I've got a lot of problems with that truck that just happened. I've changed the throttle body, changed the fuel pump, changed the vacuum breaker, brake side, not the main vacuum pump. I hadn't seen it yet. I'm waiting for it to come in. What happens is when I crank the car up, it'll start and shut right off. It won't stay running. And I'm afraid that everything that I've done is still not helping it. So I didn't know whether y'all had any ideas to what could be going on with it. Everything is about brand new. I put about $3,000 in it right now.
Mm-hmm. Now, have you checked for trouble codes in the vehicle, which I'm sure you have, but are there any trouble codes stored?
Right. It keeps telling me that I have a bad vacuum leak. So that's why I ordered the vacuum pump to come in to go ahead and change it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've already changed the big black vacuum brake pad thing. I've already changed it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So anything to
have
do with
no
low
idea.
vacuum can possibly do that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, if the vacuum pump, if I change it, would that cause it to crank up and then shut back off?
In most cases, no. Not from what I've experienced on there, as far as that part goes. Now, you mentioned that you did replace the throttle body. Did you do that in order to solve this issue that you're having?
Yes.
Okay.
I put a brand new throttle body on there, and they told me to take and disconnect the battery for at least 2 hours. But I let it sit overnight, hooked the battery back up, and I put my diagnostic back onto it again, and it's still showing me I've got a vacuum leak.
Okay.
And I've changed just about everything.
Okay. Now, with this vehicle, have you checked for any service bulletins on this vehicle of any updated computer programs?
No, I had not, but I did call Chevrolet, talk to them, and they said that the vacuum pump was under recall. But mine so far is they said they couldn't do it. It's past the limit. I got 150,000 miles on it.
Okay. All right. Now, I would, there's two things. One, I would check for any service bulletins on there. And also, because I'm almost positive there's one on that vehicle that may address that problem. And also, the computer has to be reset. Just clearing undoing the battery cable, clearing the computer is not going to give that the reset the learned idle on the vehicle that it's supposed to have. So you will. I would recommend having the vehicle hooked up to a piece of diagnostic equipment, and more people are running into that. They're people that enjoy working on their own vehicles, which I'm good with that. As a matter of fact, I'll tell somebody anything in the world I can to help them if they're working on their own vehicle. But the problem is, some of the things that has to be done with special equipment, and in this case, a computer has to be hooked up to the vehicle to reset the learned idle and to reset the computer on the system after that throttle body was put on. So that's the number one thing. And also, if it don't reset, then a technician can actually look and find out if the vehicle is running lean or rich. By looking at the oxygen sensors, he or she can tell what type issue you have. So I feel like before putting other parts on, some of your best money spent could be to spend with a technician that can diagnose the car and say, this is what the problem is on here. And the reason I say that is sometimes you might put parts on for another $3,000 and find out that it's a computer programming issue and not anything mechanical or electronic that you're needing to put on the car, just a new reprogram procedure.
You're talking about the ECM.
Exactly, yeah. There are more and more problems now, and I'm down there in the shop every day of the week, unless I happen to get to go to a class or something like that or on vacation. I'm in the shop talking with the technicians. And I can tell you that more and more cars that come into a shop now are fixed by reprogramming than ever before. They'll have a hiccup, or the transmission not shifting right, or cutting off at certain times. And it used to be with old mechanical cars, carburetors, the technician would pull it in, readjust the carburetor, and say, well, now that it's got some wear on it, you have to let a little bit more air go into the system, or readjust the carburetor, readjust the timing. Now the technician pulls it in, and many times it's a matter of the factory issuing a new program for that vehicle to run on, which is changing the way the air mixture works, changing the way it idles, doing all those things electronically. So you may be fighting a problem that you'll never repair with a tool other than a computer.
I do know that there was a problem with it running lean, and I changed the oxygen sensors on it, both the high and low on both sides of the catalytic converter. I put brand new ones on there.
Right.
That didn't make any difference.
And that's exactly a point that I want to make. Let's say an oxygen sensor. The only way that it's going to make the car run lean is if the O2 sensors were stuck in the rich position, which very seldom happens. So in other words, if the oxygen sensors, replacing them is not going to do any good. The oxygen sensors in most cases are used as a diagnostic tool, because the technician looks at those numbers that the oxygen sensor is producing, and then he or she can say, yes, this engine is running rich, this engine is running lean, and uses those numbers. You don't run into that many anymore that actually fail, unless it's an O2 heater, which is supposed to help the O2 heat up really fast. But in other words, there's a lot of parts that you're putting on this car that instead, if you was to spin that on a diagnostic test, you would save a lot of money. And I'm not saying don't work on your own car, because I love that. I think people love to do it because it's a challenge, and just like gardening and anything else that somebody might do, they enjoy it a lot of times. But you don't want to throw money away. So your money would be to find a really good technician with a computer that can diagnose that vehicle. And then he or she may say, hey, this is what's wrong with the vehicle, and you may decide to fix it yourself. But I wouldn't keep spending money on the vehicle. Jim, did you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, parts scanning can be a costly way to go. So put the science to it and see what happens.
Yeah. And I tell you, Paul, I think you calling is a really big benefit, because other people right now may be going through the same thing you are, and putting different parts on there saying it may be this. There comes a point to where, like replacing spark plugs, if they're worn out, whether it fixes the problem or not, you needed them anyway. Same way with air filters, fuel filters, all of these other things that you would need to replace anyway, I would go ahead and do, because it actually helps the person diagnosing the car to say, yeah, it's already had its tune-up, it's already had this, already had that. But you don't want to put parts on that may or may not solve the problem, especially when they're $100, $200, $300. You start adding all these things up, and next thing you know, you got $1,000 tied in it to it or more.
Oh yeah,
and that's
I'm done. I'm about at wit's end with it. So I mean, I've done just about everything except getting that program reprogrammed.
I'd say that'd be your next step. And we got to run. The time clock's then jumped on us, and we appreciate the call very much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes,
enjoy being here, Jim. We had a great show. Very enjoyable.
Great